Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Tanisha Denny will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Thank you for tuning in to Heart of Greenville, where we get to hear the stories behind the wonderfully great people of our community. I asked Lisa Chappell, the publisher of the Herald-Banner, to come on the show because she's always behind the scenes putting everyone else in the spotlight, and it was her turn to be in the spotlight. Here's my conversation with Lisa Chappell. Hey y'all, I'm Tanisha Denny, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we are sitting inside my new listing at 1837 Highway 69 South, and our guest today is Miss Lisa Chappell, the publisher of the Herald-Banner. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today on Heart of Greenville.
I'm so excited to be here. I love being in the energy of a strong woman, and so I just love stuff like this, so I'm very excited to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And you know what? Thank you for that nomination for being the Hunt County, the businesswomen. That was such an honor to be a part of that.
You are so deserving of that, and that was so exciting to have you a part of that. And we had multiple women in the community, yes, all inspiring women, and I love that section that we did. And, you know, there's just so much to learn from the women in our community, and it was just very inspiring, very inspiring.
Well, thank you for doing that. It was really cool to open that up and open the paper and to see that. And it was very surreal to see my own picture there. But then to be with the other women that also earned that same recognition was just, it was so powerful and such a reminder of the leaders that we do have in the community. And you are also one of those leaders. I know that your picture wasn't necessarily right there, but you are right there with us. And you have been such an anchor in our community with the newspaper. Like, you're the one who brings the news to us so we know what's going on. So that's why I wanted you on the show. I felt like you are behind the scenes. You're always lifting other people up. You're always making other people look amazing and bringing those stories to life. And so I wanted the community to get to know you and know your story and know you better. So Lisa, if you'll kick us off, start off and tell us, what is your story? Where did you grow up? How did you get here?
Well, I am originally a Tennessee girl, but I have been in Texas long enough that I call myself a Texan for sure. We moved here when I was about 10 years old, so I'm not going to say how long I've been here, but it's a long time. So we moved to Texas and moved to Garland. My dad decided to quit corporate America, and he wanted to be a preacher. So we moved here so he could go to seminary. He went to Dallas Theological Seminary, ended up graduating there, and, you know, he's who I get my work ethic from, because while he was doing that, graduated with honors, held 3 jobs. It was something else. I mean, I don't know when he slept, looking back, you know, but so he just moved us all out here. We came to big old Garland, Texas. They like to tell the story when I had never been to Texas. I was 10 years old. So I was asleep in the U-Haul. We cross over Texas. My dad wakes me up and he says, we're here, we're in Texas. And I wake up and I was like, where's the desert? I thought there was going to be desert. You know, I had cowboys, what everybody sees with the big hats and the cowboy boots, and desert and cactus. And so I was surprised to see all the trees and the green. But so I grew up in Garland. And went to high school there all through middle school and high school. Went to several different schools, actually. And then when I was we moved to Rowlett at one point.
Was that different from where you'd moved from in Tennessee? As far as, was it a bigger city? Was Garland bigger than what you were used to?
It was about the same size.
Okay.
It was about the same size. And then we moved to Rowlett, and that's when Rowlett, there was nothing there but cows and a bank and a gas station. So I ended up, at 17, my parents decided, we're going back to Tennessee. And I said, no, I'm not. Thought I was, you know, an adult. And at 17, I stayed here, and they moved back to Tennessee.
Were you graduated at that point?
I had graduated,
okay.
Just graduated. I had one sister at the time, and then my parents, right before they left, they decided to have another child. So my next sister was born.
When you were 17?
I was 18.
Wow.
So then, not long after that, I got married and started a family of my own, actually. And funny story is that my mom and my parents decided to have another child. They wanted a boy. My dad wanted a boy. All us girls were tomboys, but he still wanted his boy. And we are all born in different generations. That's a funny fact.
That's fun.
Yes.
Oh, I bet Christmas is interesting.
It is interesting. So even more interesting than that, I started my family, and I was pregnant at the same time as my mom.
Oh, wow. Now, how did that work out?
It was crazy, but so I have children the same age as my little brother and around the same age as my little sister. So that was quite interesting and still is.
I bet that is interesting.
Yes.
You don't ever expect that you're going to be pregnant at the same time as your mom,
No.
and your children are going to be the same age as your sibling.
It's different. My little brother did not believe for many years that I was his sister because,
Did he view you as an aunt?
Yes, more like an aunt. So, and they lived in Tennessee and we lived here. So, but they grew up. My kids grew up very close to my siblings, so that's just wonderful. So, but that's a funny fact about us. But my dad went back to Tennessee. I stayed here, raised my children here. So this is my home. We moved to Hunt County in about 98, and I've been here ever since, and just fell in love with Hunt County.
How did you get to Hunt County? You weren't far being in the Rowlett area, but how did you actually get to Hunt County?
Wanted to get out of town. Like many people, we see all these people moving out here today,
Yes.
right? They want to live in the country, and I was attracted to the lake, and so we bought a house out by the lake. And
Which lake?
Tawakoni.
Tawakoni? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So my kids went to Bowles. Wonderful. I can't say enough good things about Bowles.
Oh, I know. Who was the superintendent back then?
Dr. Sweeney.
So Dr. Sweeney was the
Yes.
superintendent back then too.
So here's another funny story. So we moved there, and I looked into the schools and did all the things a mom does right before you move and decide we're going to live here, and realized that I was going to be in that school district. Very excited. We moved. I called them to enroll my children, and they told me, we're full. And I'm like, what do you mean you're full? So she was like, you can't enroll your kids here. And I said, oh, but I moved here and bought a house. I bought a house so my kids could go to Bowles right here.
Right.
So I went down to Bowles and went into the office, and they said, you need to talk to the superintendent. Where is he? Well, he's out on a golf cart somewhere. So I walked around the campus, found Dr. Sweeney on his little golf cart, and told him who I was, that I'd moved here and that I wanted my kids to go to Bowles, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So I bugged him to death until he finally got so tired of me. He said, okay, we'll figure it out. Because I wouldn't leave him alone.
He realized you were not going away. And he was like, do you have one or two kiddos?
Two.
So he was like, okay, we have to find a place for two more kiddos.
Yes.
It had to make him feel good too, that someone really wanted to be in that school district and a part of that community.
Oh, yeah.
Because he has such a huge heart for kids.
He is. He's wonderful, and he stole my heart that day, and he's still special to me to this day. So
He does. He serves with his full heart when he does. So he's definitely left a legacy with that school.
Absolutely.
For his time that was there.
Absolutely.
That's too funny. So was that during the summer you were having to track him down to get him in, or where were your kids in between you getting them in and moving here?
It was in the summer.
Okay.
It was in the summer, so.
So they weren't sitting at home waiting to figure out which school they were going to go to.
No.
That's awesome. That just shows a little bit of your drive and tenacity. I can totally see you out there walking that campus looking for Dr. Sweeney on his golf cart.
Well, don't mess with a mama bear and her cubs, right? So I decided this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and thankfully it worked out. So,
What grade were your kiddos in when they started there?
they were in 3rd and 4th grade.
Okay. Oh, so they were still in elementary and in
Yes.
those developmental ages.
Yes.
So what does your husband do? Is that what brought you to Hunt County? You moved out, you love the lakes, but how?
We moved out and actually went through a divorce not long after I moved out here. So, and could have made the choice to go back to, where I was, but decided, no, this is where I want to stay. Probably Bowles had a lot to do with that. We went through some hard times after that. Being a single mom is not always easy. And that's when I learned a lot about the community and how giving that they were and helped us out. And so, that's when I decided this is home.
Were you working at the paper at that point?
No. So I was not. I was actually working in Dallas. I was a salesperson. My territory was Dallas and Fort Worth, so you can imagine. Oh. I mean, that's the commute and the drive. And so I actually decided to hunker down here and not do that. I worked at Sears for a little while. I sold lawnmowers and washing machines to people in Greenville. And then found an ad in the paper for a sales position at the newspaper, and that's how I started.
So you were out selling the ads and things like that for the newspaper. How fun. I did not know that you started out there.
Yes.
So that's how you got into the newspaper world and learning about that.
That is. I started out in sales. I really became entrenched in the community then and got to know the people as a sales rep. Got to know the business owners and the people here, and just really I loved it.
It seems like a fun job. I know all of the different ladies I've worked with over the years, that come in and tell us, okay, we're doing this ad and we're doing this and offering it. They're so excited and they're full of energy and they love coming by the office to visit. So I can totally see you out doing that and getting to know the people and bringing them in. And you were probably one of their top performers.
Well, it was fun. I love sales. I still feel like a salesperson at heart. So, but yeah, it was great.
That's
it was great.
awesome.
So.
That had to be really hard to be a single mom. And I'm sure that tugged at your heart driving to Dallas back and forth. What made you finally make that final decision? I'm not going to keep driving that drive and doing those hours, and I'm going to come back and be closer to home.
Well, I'd actually made that decision, before the divorce, around the time of it, and then decided, I needed to be with my children. The commute was too much. I was gone too much, and so. So I made that decision to do that. And then through the divorce, we like I said, we went through some hard times. And because of that, when I started my job at the paper and got to know the community, that's why I joined up and started volunteering. United Way put on a program, a coat drive, where you go to Walmart, you get a coat for your child.
Clothe the Child. Was it Clothe the Child?
Clothe the Child.
Okay.
And my children received a coat that year. And I also, got help from Salvation Army and from Fish Ministries. And as soon as I was able to, I said, I want to pay that back. I want to pay that back. I want to pay it forward, and I'm going to do my part. So I really got involved in volunteering because of that. So
that is really cool. You started at a place where your kids were receiving the gifts that were being given. Mm-hmm. So I love knowing this about you. So you have such a heart for that because you know what it feels like to be on the other side, to receive the gifts.
Absolutely.
And then to where you are today, where you get to be a part of giving.
Absolutely.
Those gifts.
You never know what life is going to throw you. And I think right now people are seeing that with what we're going through with COVID, and people have lost their jobs, and it's tough times, and you never know what's going to happen to you in life and when you're going to need help. And there's no shame in needing help, right?
That's what I was going to ask you. How did that feel? I mean, knowing you today and knowing where you are today, how do you feel? How did you feel in those moments when you really did need that help?
Honestly, to be honest, it was tough because I'm very independent. Obviously, when I at 17 decide, I'm going to live that far away from my parents. Yes. So that was difficult for me, but I was determined I'm not going to ask for my family. I'm going to do it on my own. And it was a short period in our life when we needed help. But, it was tough. But, again, a mama bearing her cubs, you do whatever you got to do to make sure your kids are taken care of.
That's right. That's just what we do.
That's right. Absolutely.
So what have you done after that? After you got into sales, you're at the Herald-Banner. What were you guys doing then Were you doing things with your kids? Did you plug into their school system? What did you do in those years to get them all the way to being graduated?
Whew. Well, you know, I want to say that was tough, but I have two amazing kids. And you know, I think that you develop an even stronger bond with your children when you go through hard times, right? Life is not meant to be all rainbows and cherries. It's just not. But, you know, the hard times are what gives you character and what makes you who you are. And, you know, they learned that through those difficult times that we went through. They also learn to give it back, you know, then you turn around and help somebody else out, you know, and they both have very giving hearts. And I think that they learned from that. Would they have had those hearts if we would not have gone through those times? Maybe not. I don't know. But, you know, I'm a big believer in things happen to you, and it's not about what happens to you in life. It's how you react to it and how you respond. And you know, we can all be victims. We all have horrible things happen to us. Nobody has a perfect life. But you take that and you become stronger from that, you know. And I have a strong personality. I'm a strong person. Some of that probably was given to me by my strong grandmother. I have those roots. But a lot of that is really life experiences.
What did she teach you? Sounds like there's a story there, your grandmother, and she has strong roots. Did you spend a lot of time with her? How did she impact you?
Ooh, you're gonna make me cry. Don't make me cry. No, she was my Mama Kay. Mama Kay is her name.
Kay.
Yeah,
I
so
love
we called
that.
her. She was everything. I mean, she was my inspiration. Who taught me how to be a good Southern woman. You know. Even when you don't feel like it, you put your heels on, your lipstick on, and you know what I mean? You smile. And I learned all that from her. So a lot of strength came from her. She actually raised me. My grandparents raised me for a couple of years of my life. The woman who I call mom now is actually not the woman who gave birth to me, but she is my mom because she raised me. So my birth mother dropped me off to my grandmother's and said she just couldn't handle it. And so my grandmother took me from there.
What a blessing for her to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That, you know, you can, and that's what I mean. You can take those things in life and say, I was rejected. My mother didn't want me. And I did go through those times at points in my life. Of course, that's difficult as a teenager to get that through your head and things like that. But you know what? It was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
How old were you when you realized that? When you finally got past the hurt that she left you, but realizing that was the biggest blessing she could have given you to let you be raised by your grandmother?
You know, that probably happened, it was after I had my children. And that's probably, my teenage years were tough to wrap my head around it. When my children were babies, it was tough to wrap my head around it. So
it is hard when you have your children and when you've had hurts in your past from a parent, and then you're like, I don't understand how could you do that?
How could you do that? But then probably around 30, you know, I've come to realize that as we get older, you know, in each decade of your life, you think, oh, I'm getting older, but you really become stronger and better because you've learned and you've gone through life and you learn, hopefully, from things that have happened to you. So.
And it all starts to make sense as you get older, and you can put it together better in your mind and better understand, or understand I'm not going to make those choices.
Right.
And I'm sure that made you be the best mom you could be.
Yes. And nothing, and again, for my birth mother, she was doing the best that she could. So I realized that at some point of, you know, what a blessing and a gift that she gave me to my Mama Kay to raise me for a couple of years until my dad remarried. And so I have no ill will, no hatred. I let go of all of that because I realized, you know what? That's life. She was not in a place, she was not ready to do this, and that's okay. That's okay. It's made me a strong person.
Yes. Oh, it did. I mean, that gave you strength from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then to have your Mama Kay to come in and show you that love, and then the lady you call mom today come
Yes.
into your life. So how old were you when your mom that you call mom today, how old were you when she came into your life?
She married my dad before I turned 3. I was between 2 and 3. So I was the flower girl at their wedding.
Oh,
which
how
is interesting.
precious.
But so she raised me. She's who I call mom. There's no question that she's my mom.
And
so.
she's another angel that was sent to you.
Absolutely.
That's really special. Wow, I feel like I've really gotten to know you. And I really do think sometimes these stories, we don't know. I see you as this strong businesswoman, and that's how I see you. And now I get to see you in a totally different light, that it's where you came from, that's what grew you, and that's where you got your grit from and your determination and to not give up, because you've overcome so much just in the short period of time of your life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like I said, it's not what happens to you in life. It's how you handle it and how you look at it and learn and grow from it. So I try to learn from everything in business and life. You know, there's a lesson in everything that happens to us. So.
well, you have left us with lots of inspiration on that. Well, one of the things we like to talk about on our show for Heart of Greenville is what you love about Greenville. And you have clearly been a part of Greenville and certainly have a heart for them and appreciate our community from your past experiences. So tell us, what does Lisa Chappell love about Greenville, Texas?
Well, I think I already alluded to that with, I learned what a giving community this is. And, I've been saying that ever since. And it's not, we hear that and people say that, but it's true. It's really true. This community really comes together. And so, I learned that from volunteering and being on different boards here in the community and just getting to know everyone here. And, it's just inspiring to know that if you need help, there's somebody in this town, and it's probably not just somebody, it's probably the entire town's going to come together for you. And it's just amazing. It's a wonderful place to live.
It is. Are there any people that really made a difference for you during those years and as you've been growing and developing that kind of came into your life as when you were doing community volunteering and things that you really have a lot of a respect and appreciation for?
Oh, yes. There are a number of people. Ron Wenzel was one, and we lost Ron, and that was a big loss to our community because what an amazing person he was, and an inspiration to me. And I was lucky enough to get to serve with him on the board and hit the pavement with him many times and raising money and
I was going to say, I bet he gave you fundraising skills.
Asking for stuff, So he, he's somebody that was very special to me. There's many. Bob Mason was executive director of United Way when I served on the board there, and he no longer lives here, but I still feel like he's a part of us. There's so many that, I couldn't name them all. But I think just the business leaders in this community all seem to chip in and do their part, whether it's Rotary, Altrusa, Lions, whatever. They're not just business people here. They're actually involved, and it's very inspiring.
It really is. Have you experienced this in any other community that you've been a part of?
No, well, this is very special to me. I have different locations now, and I drive around, and I'm not here every day any longer, but this is my home, so it's very special to me. But I'm becoming involved in those communities, and I still just say that there's just a heart here and a special feeling in this town. And, even if someone you haven't seen them in months, you just pick right back up and everybody comes together, and I love that.
It is really special. It keeps coming up that it's the people in this community that make us so different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, do you have a favorite community activity that we do every year? What's your favorite thing that you look forward to that our community does?
Well, it's sad that we're not being able to do so many of them right now because of what's going on. But there's so many. I think, I have to say Bras for the Cause, they have done such an amazing job.
Yes.
And it's grown every year, and this year was totally different, than before because of what's going on. But that to me is just amazing what those few women just kicked this off and and raise that kind of money and for such a important cause.
It really is. I've had a couple of interviews for our episodes, and breast cancer keeps coming up as someone who's been affected by that. And it's made me realize even more how important Bras for the Cause is and what that organization started to create for people here locally. And it touches us more than we realize. Even though if it hasn't touched you personally, there's someone really close to you that it has touched.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
yes.
well, that's great. All right, Lisa, I have really enjoyed our conversation. I have one final question for you.
Okay.
Okay. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received, and how have you applied it?
Oh, wow. Okay. So the best, that's difficult because you know, business, I've had mentors in business that have taught me so much, strong women. And I think that, you know, advice at the time that you get it, you may not realize how important it is till something happens to you later in life or a different part of your life where it comes into play. And, you know, right now I think that as I spend time, you know, we all have some anxiety right now and in prayer and in meditation of, you know, just keeping that anxiety down because of what's going on in the world. What keeps coming up for me is just kindness, being kind. So that kind of goes back to, I guess, what we learned in Sunday school, you know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and to be kind. And I think, I just think right now, that's what I've been taking to heart, and that we need more kindness right now. And through kindness comes peace. And
Yes.
we certainly need peace right now with everything going on in the world. So I think right now that's probably the advice, which isn't really, I don't know if you call that advice, but that's what's heavy on my heart right now, and what I think about, and is getting me through every day right now.
That's wonderful. You can never go wrong with the golden rule at all. And
That's right.
my grandmother taught me the same thing. So I was really close to my grandma Thacker, like you were to your Mama Kay. And
great.
she taught me that golden rule too, to treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
And when you keep that at your core and keep kindness at your core, it changes your attitude towards other people. And it changes
does.
how you feel about the day even. And it also changes it to where you want to make someone else happy today. And
Absolutely.
despite all of the things going on.
Absolutely. The little things. You know what happens to me here in Starbucks in line so many times, the person in front of you will pay, you know, and that's just the little things in life. That's just small, kind acts that that we just really need more than ever right now, I think.
We do. In fact, the other day I was like, I haven't received one of those in a while. And I'm like, maybe I should start that chain today.
There you go.
Sometimes you have to be the one to start that change.
Absolutely.
And that's wonderful. Lisa, thank you so much. I'm so proud to get to serve with you in our community. And thank you for all the things that you do for us. And most importantly, thank you for sharing your story. I know that wasn't easy to share, but I love how transparent you were. And I know that there's someone else who will hear this story and it will impact them. So thank you for being a light and for being an encouragement to all business women, but just to women and moms and everyone. So thank you again for being on the Heart of Greenville.
Thank you. Back at you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.